It's disgusting. So let me ask you a question as a professional, because we're both adults and we're both very smart. As a professional, which is more likely, that the government believed COVID was deadly and everybody should be truthfully afraid and locked in their houses, but because they had this spirit inside of them and they couldn't resist the idea of a party, decided to risk their lives to party, or they lied on the television trying to scare everyone and enslave them and lock them in their houses, knowing it's garbage, knowing it's a lie, and not caring, and had a party behind everyone's backs so they didn't think they'd get caught? Which one is more likely as a professional, as a logical human?
Why don't we just agree that they were a bunch of rank hypocrites, stupid people who were behaving utterly selfishly, to the extent that the Queen, when her husband, Prince Philip, dies, is in the church on her own, in a mass, with none of her family around her after losing a rock of 70 years. And it turned out the night before, Downing Street had, I think, 2 parties, including a karaoke party. I think that was shameful and disgraceful.
Well,
so we can agree on that, right?
We can agree on that, and we can wake up and start to realize, oh, maybe the government doesn't care about us. Maybe the government lies to us. Maybe they tell us things and try and scare us, but they don't actually care themselves. Maybe all they are is hypocritical, self-interested people.
Maybe they are.
Maybe they use the MSM to purport their lies, to keep everybody enslaved while they do whatever they want, and that is the matrix in and of itself. And if you speak against it and people listen to you, I'll repeat this: your ability to speak freely is directly correlated to your insignificance. If you're as big as I was, the most Googled man on the planet telling the truth, you will pay the price, Piers. And that is why I was locked in that cell. And I do not regret it, because I live true to God. I'm not going to sit here as a coward and not tell the truth to people for as long as I live until they put a bullet in my head.
Let me ask you about the lover boy method. So the suggestion is that you and your brother and others, let's talk about you, that you deploy the lover boy method, where you would make women fall in love with you. You would then persuade them to do webcam stuff, right?
TikTok.
Okay, but wait, let's call it webcam stuff, right?
No, let's not call it that. The indictment is about TikTok.
Okay, what would you make the women do? Or what would they do with you?
I don't make anybody do anything.
Okay.
In fact, let's talk about the lover boy method. So it's very interesting. Let's imagine the Matrix is pissed off with a said individual who's telling too much truth and everybody is listening to him, and they decide they're going to attack him with sexual assault claims. They say, he's making women do, well, we found conversations where he gave advice on how to go viral on TikTok. He's making women do TikTok, but he isn't being horrible to them. He's not hitting them. He's not being mean to them. So what can we do? Let's use the lover boy method. If I was abusive and mean, they wouldn't say lover boy method. Do you know what lover boy method means? Being nice. He was nice and polite and kind, and they really liked him as a person, and he told them how to do TikTok.
But that's not what the lover boy...
He's a lover boy. Of course it is.
Andrew, that's not what the lover boy method is.
Absolutely it is.
The lover boy method is where perpetrators woo victims with the prospect of a loving relationship until they can be forced into abusive situations or a form of slavery.
This is garbage.
That's actually what it means.
The lover boy method is being nice to people so that you work together, effectively what they're trying to say here. I was nice to girls who asked me for TikTok advice, and they sang it's the lover boy method. I didn't beat them into doing TikTok. I didn't force them. I didn't threaten them. In fact, I was like, yeah, you're very pretty. You can be pretty famous.
Was there any element of coercion?
How can there be an element? What does that even mean? Let's be professionals here. What does that even mean?
What do you think coercion means?
I was coerced into this interview. You came along to me and said...
You weren't coerced into this interview.
Yes, I was.
Or don't tell me. The bullying
Piers.
MSM said, Andrew, you've got to do an interview.
No.
I'm going to fly all the way to Romania to do it.
You didn't do that.
Favor.
You used the lover boy method. You said, sir...
The lover boy method?
Yep. Andrew, this is going to be a very interesting interview. We had a good one last time. You're a nice guy. We have some interesting conversations.
I didn't say you were a nice guy.
I'm going to come along.
Wait a minute.
We're going to make some money from this interview.
Wait a minute.
Money will be made for both sides.
Wait a minute.
You lover boyed me and you stole the profit.
Just to be clear, I've had no conversation with you about this interview. And the conversations I've had with your intermediary were very professional. And I said, I would like to do an interview with you.
Were you nice?
I'm always nice.
Loverboy. You can't believe you used niceness to loverboy me, because this is a profitable enterprise and I was coerced here.
I make no pretense that I've come all the way from London to Romania to interview you because, yes, I want to do it on my show, and that will clearly benefit me and my show.
Am I a full-grown consenting adult who decided to do this show?
Yeah, but you're not being coerced into doing this.
Am I a full-grown consenting adult who decided to do this show?
Yes.
Okay, so I wasn't coerced, correct?
But what's that got to do with what I've asked you?
Because you were nice to me and you're saying that...
I wasn't nice to you. I didn't even talk to you.
Being nice is the loverboy method, and that adults have no personal responsibility. And I wasn't nice to someone, they become your slave.
I wasn't nice to you, and I didn't call you a nice guy.
I feel loverboy. I feel loverboy.
Do you?
I'm sorry.
Well, I'm sorry.
It's fine.
You had a website, Hustlers University, offering courses teaching husbands and boyfriends how to get their partners into webcam.
Absolutely false. The Hustlers University, which you can go to now, actually, we've changed the domain, it's university.com, is a school which teaches modern wealth creation methods. We teach people how to make websites, we teach people e-com.
Why did you call it a PhD, pimping hose degree?
No, you're talking about an old video which was made satirically.
Why did you call it that? Oh, that was satire.
Of course it was. 9 years ago, the internet was a very different place. And if you're going to sit here and say, oh, 9 years ago you said stupid things on the internet, it's not a gotcha moment because every single person has. So have you.
No, but you'd be very...
So have you, because you advocate for the vaccine, sir. So
yeah,
you
absolutely.
said stupid things on the internet.
Yeah.
Life, that's how things go. It's satirical. I also said I'm an astronaut. Do you believe I've been to the moon? Because I haven't, believe it or not. Hustlers University teaches children how to make websites, and
There's only one reason I'm asking you.
Advice.
Only reason I'm asking you. You've repeatedly said in interviews since you were arrested that you have never categorized yourself as a pimp. You don't think you're a pimp, right?
Well, what about all the rappers? Did you ask Ice Cube if he's a pimp and a murderer and a drug dealer?
I'm not
Jay-Z sold crack.
I'm not
interviewing.
I'm not interviewing them. I'm asking you whether you have at any stage in the last 15 years been a pimp.
Of course I've not been a pimp. I've said I'm a pimp. I've said I'm an astronaut. I've said I'm a cowboy. I've said I'm the strongest man in the world. I've said I'm James Bond. Throw me in jail.
Are you just...
Put me in jail.
Okay.
I deserve it. 9 years ago I made a joke on the internet.
So here's my question. Are you a fantasist?
I'm not a fantasist.
Do you have a persona that's just not you?
Of course not. I am me.
Well, if you are you, why would you repeatedly call yourself a pimp and then now say you've never been a pimp?
Are you going to sit here and say that because I've once said, oh...
I'm curious whether if you're trying to say to me you didn't mean any of the things you said. So I'm asking myself, well, why should I believe anything you say now? In other words, is what you say actually what you mean? Is Andrew Tate real? Or do you have a complete persona that you've fueled for money that has nothing to do with the real you? I don't know. You tell me.
I exaggerated on the internet 9 years ago for comedic effect. I'd walk into a nightclub and there'd be girls at my table, like every other man who walks into a nightclub, and I'd say, pimpin'. Oh no, put me in jail. 93 days was not enough with the cockroaches. I should go back. This is a matrix attack, Piers. Every single person, every single man out there has done things worse than I've done. In fact, I will argue, if you put 99.9% of men through the level of scrutiny I've been through by multiple federal agencies, you will find a lot worse than him saying he was a pimp on the internet 9 years ago. You will find actual genuine crime. And I've done nothing. I live true to God. This is all garbage and it's not real.
Like I said to you, I don't know if you're guilty or not.
I do,
okay.
And I am not guilty.
No,
it's a matrix attack.
I want to be clear to you, I'm not preempting your guilt. I've come here with a completely open mind. You've been charged with serious offences, but I am not going to judge you because I'm not a judge and this is not a courtroom, right? But it's interesting to me that one of the biggest charges against you is that you're a misogynist. And you've always said, I'm not a misogynist. And then the last time I interviewed you, you said, well, I may have said some things that may have been misconstrued. But even in the last week, you've tweeted some stuff, which I'm not even sure if you're aware as you tweet this stuff, how it sounds.
Read it.
Okay, let's read. This is quite a long one.
Sure.
But I think it's important to read it to get a sense of how you view women.
Absolutely.
Any woman I date does not have a job. Okay, so the woman you're with doesn't have a job?
No.
Okay. Do you date other women?
Sometimes.
And your partner's fine with that?
Obviously.
Yeah? And you're fine with that?
Why wouldn't I be?
Well, you think it's fine to be dating other women when you have a mother and a kid?
I think we're consenting adults and everybody can make their own personal decisions.
Okay, fair enough. Why would I be working so hard, you say, to have hundreds of millions for my woman to waste her life in slaved pennies? No. I will give you a life you can never ever afford. Private jets, five-star hotels, new cars, endless spending money and diamonds. You will be rich because you're praying for me every day and protecting my spirit. I work in the physical world, she works in the spirit realm. Women shouldn't have to work because being a good partner is a full-time job for a woman. She has to look good. All the beauty treatments are time intensive. Not about money, it takes a lot of time. She has to train every day and stay in fantastic shape. Shop to look amazing next to me. I know there are some men who do 100 times more than this on a daily basis, but women are not as organized as men, and achieving anything significant causes them huge amounts of stress. Yeah. They need to have huge sections of their day empty to waste, or they will have a mental breakdown. True. And do you want a woman who's stressed and angry after the commute, unshaven and exhausted? Or do you want a Barbie doll who's always smiling and saying thank you because she did her nails and brought you Prada that day? As a man, unless you're a loser, you're already filthy rich, right? You can get endless sex anyway. Girls are easy. So what can a girl give you? Happiness, vibes, always smiling. Take the edge off a stressful life. Can she always be happy if she's been working all day? No. Just to wake up at 11, gym till 1, one appointment and some shopping. dress beautiful by 7 p.m. for you to finish working and tell you how strong you are. No matter how pissed off you are, just to always be laughing and smiling and writing little notes about how you're perfect. And just to be playful and funny. She can't do that if she has a job. So your job is being my girlfriend, and now you're a millionaire. Congratulations. Behave and aim for the promotion to wife. The reason I read all that in detail was, I don't think you understand quite how that comes over, because I think that is the purest definition of misogyny I've probably ever read.
Well, I don't think you understand. One, especially when I'm talking about the fact that women can't handle what men can do, etc. One, it's slightly sarcastic. There's a sarcastic tone.
So do you mean any of this?
I mean all of it. Any woman I'm with, I will provide for because I
No
want to
woman
protect
should
her.
work. They should spend all day beautifying themselves for you, right? And they might get promoted to wife.
This is
Your
my
job is being my girlfriend.
Correct.
There are hundreds of millions of women around the world who do a good day's work, who still manage to be a very good wife or partner. Right?
Agreed, completely. But it's my
So
life.
why would you encourage a whole generation of young men? I mean, I've got to be honest, since our last 2 interviews, before you were arrested, I would say every single day I have young men, teenage boys, maybe early 20s, coming up to me asking about you. It's gone on every day since I interviewed you. I'm very aware of your reach. I'm very aware of your influence. And whenever I've been asked about you, they say, what do you think of him? I said, I don't really know. I find myself agreeing with 60 to 70% of the things you say. And I do, because I think a lot of the stuff you say about empowering young men to be confident, to work out, to take care of themselves.
To have enough money to not force their woman to work.
Right, but that's the bit. That's the bit where when you stray into that kind of language, particularly in the detail where you reveal what you're really thinking, the kind of pathetic, soulless life you want for these women. Where does it allow for being a mother, for example?
Absolutely,
How does a mother of your children manage to find time for being a mother in this routine of love and devotion to you?
How does having a job give her time to be a mother? This gives her all the time in the world to be a mother. One, it's slightly sarcastic, firstly.
What do you mean?
Well,
Do you mean
can tell by the tone.
Do you mean you don't mean it?
No, I mean it.
Well, which
but
bit?
it's slightly sarcastic.
Well, sarcasm
for
means
comedic effect.
sarcasm means you don't mean it.
No, I mean it. But it's slightly
Well, you
sarcastic.
either mean it or you don't. It's either sarcastic or it's not.
I mean every single word.
But this is the conundrum with you, Andrew.
Sarcastic.
This is the conundrum with you, right?
It's not a conundrum. If you'd let me explain, it's not a conundrum at all.
You tweet.
And also,
you
would be very
tweet this.
interesting. I tweeted this out. I get thousands of women
Yeah.
begging me, inboxing me, saying, "Finally, a man who understands he needs to provide for a woman so she can be her best self."
Right.
This is exactly the kind of life that will allow.
No,
women to
there
become a
are
mother.
definitely women that will absolutely love to be
So why don't you
treated like
are they
this.
misogynists?
No, but what I think they're people who just basically, it's the old sugar daddy thing, right? They want to have a rich guy who's going to pamper them and take care of them. They don't have to do a day's work. They just have to make
Being a
themselves
good partner
look
is
good
a
for
day's
you.
work.
Well, so you say.
Yeah.
But it also, the language that you use here seriously diminishes women who do work. You make them out to be, well, you're not doing your job as a partner or wife. You should be doing your job, which is just to devote yourself to his pleasure and making him
Well,
happy.
it's actually interesting you say that because I'll put a lot of the fault of this on men. Let's if you want to gender the argument, let's do that. I think that a lot of the reason why women can't live this life, if they so choose, if you're a woman who decides to work, then go to work. I don't care. But if you're a woman who decides she wants to retire, it's because she can't find a man who could provide for her at this level. Do you think when a woman marries a billionaire that she wants to go get a job in Starbucks? Because in my experience, when they marry extremely successful men, they don't want a job. I'm sure Ronaldo's wife isn't begging to go work in IKEA.
Actually,
No,
Ronaldo's wife works very hard.
she works for herself, which is different.
And her family.
Of course,
Yeah.
which is different.
She's a hard-working woman, actually.
Absolutely, because being a fantastic partner and having a bunch of children is a bunch of hard work. And she also finds the energy to have businesses on the side. Fantastic.
But
So
you
what
don't
we're
want,
saying here,
but you don't want women to have businesses.
no, I'm saying if you're with a man of my stature, you don't have to work. Now, if I met a perfect woman and we were together and we were happy.
When you say a man of your stature, with respect, right now you have no income, no possessions,
Correct, I'm
and you're
completely
facing
flat
facing
broke.
serious criminal charges. I mean, I'm not quite sure what stature you think you're currently selling, but it ain't great.
Okay, well then it's a shame all those women inboxed me after I put that tweet out saying,
I've got
we
no-
agree with you. I think you should interview
I
all
met
of
a
them for
woman
their
yesterday who, when I
misogynistic
said I
views.
was coming to interview, was immediately like, "Oh, can you put a good word in for me?"
Of course.
Sure, you have a definite appeal to a certain type of woman. There's no question.
I think providing for a woman
is if I was
financially is a man's responsibility. If that means I'm a misogynist, then I'm a misogynist.
no,
I think
so you
that-
accept you are a misogynist.
No, I think a man should provide for a woman financially, completely and utterly. If she wants to work, if my partner were to say to me right now, I really feel like getting a job, it would make me happy, then I'll say work. But she doesn't have to. Her job is looking after the children, looking after me, and being as happy as possible. If you think I'm a bad person for saying, if you actually read that, read the subtext and context.
I read it
I'm
all
saying,
out.
Okay, good. Then you'll understand what I'm saying.
You know I did. You heard it.
Absolutely. So what I am saying is, I am a man, my life is stressful, my life is pain. I go to jail, I suffer, I have to deal with making money. I have constant endless headache. I do all of that so I can give you everything, but then I get to have you. Your job is to be happy. I want you to smile. I want you to look your best and feel your best all of the time. If am I a misogynist for saying that I go through so much pain so that we can be financially secure, so I hope the woman I care about does not have to work a job. If that makes me a bad person, then so be it. Because all I'm saying is I want to take care of her in every single realm. I take care of her physical safety. I take care of her financial security. That is my job as a man. And if more men acted like me, you will see that the world would be a happier and better